Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Spiritual Side of Virginia. We're going to start today by reading a message psychographed by the Spirit Bezerra de Menezes through the hands of the medium Chico Xavier. The message says, "The more you always bless your difficulties and do not regret them, considering that God always grants us the best, and the best you have constantly obtained with possibility of being more useful. The more you help others, the more ample help you will receive from higher life. The more you tolerate the setbacks of the world, the more you will be supported in emergencies of life, in which you remain seeking peace and progress, elevation and light. The more freedom you give your loved ones, allowing them to live the existence they choose, the freer you will be to obey Jesus, building your own happiness. The more you understand those who share your human paths, the more respected you will find yourself, since the more you donate than you are in benefit stranger, the greater covering of the Lord's protection will assure tranquility in your steps. Let's keep looking for Jesus in all the brothers and sisters on earth, but especially in those who suffer problems and difficulties greater than our obstacles. Helping and serving, and always happier, we will find ourselves under His blessings, our Master and Lord."
Let us pray. Let us feel the presence of God in our lives. Feel the envelopment of God's love that sustains us. Thank you, Mother, Father God, for preparing this environment in your safety, so we can nourish ourselves. We can also recharge ourselves in the greatness of your loving care. We visualize rays of healing light falling upon us, being absorbed by our minds and bodies, as we see the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists kindly preparing each one of us to receive the remedies that we need. Receiving your invitation to learn the new, which is our only guarantee to progress. We thank you for granting us the permission to be here and to consciously co-create memorable moments or lives to come. So be it. Okay, friends. Today we have very important things happening here and there. We're talking about how thought is life. You think, we create. As we think, we create our lives. So if we want a happy life, we need to create it today. It's not going to happen tomorrow if today we are not creating it. And all the Spiritist messages tell us that we won't get there if we put other people first. I know it's hard. We're going to say, but who's going to take care of me? Who's going to think of me? Right? But that's a selfish, very childish statement of us. Because when we trust in God, we relax. So true that Chico Xavier, who had many siblings, look at this story. Who has ever eaten here a chayote? Chuchu in Portuguese. Chayote. What does it taste like? Let's see. It tastes. It doesn't taste much. When you have days you can't eat much or anything, eat a chayote. Because you feel it in for a little bit, and it doesn't do anything to your body. But it's, when people in Brazil, when they are poor, they eat stuff like that all the time because they don't have much. Chico Xavier was poor, his family as well. He was already a spiritist, and he was teaching these things that we learned here in the center to his family. But one of his sisters was skeptical. She was like, this story about helping other people is too much for me. Because what is this? People knocking on our door all the time, asking for things all the time. I don't believe it is true that in helping others will be helped. And Chico said, okay, let's see. They had 2 chayotes on their table. Don't need to put in the refrigerator, by the way. Right? And then somebody knocked on their door. I know people nowadays don't knock on our doors anymore, and it's so funny. We're so scared when people knock at our doors, we hide. Right? It's so funny. Right? I am like this too. People knock at our doors, and we're like, oh my gosh, who is this? We didn't ask anybody to come. But back at Chico Xavier's time, you could knock at each other's door. People were like, oh, okay, maybe the neighbor, maybe somebody else. Or keep the door open. People would come in and out unannounced. So the neighbor said, oh, Chico, we don't have anything to eat. Do you have anything to share with us? He looked at the chayotes, looked at his sister. They only had 2. He gave both to the neighbor. His sister was like, oh no, what about us? He said, don't worry. Like half an hour later, somebody knocked on the door. Hey, Chico, I had some extra chayotes with us, and I brought some for you. 4 chayotes. Do the math. He gave 2, he got 4. Imagine if we give a Franklin bill to somebody. How much is a Franklin dollar note? How much is it? 100. Yeah. Imagine people give us 2 million. No, but that's not the thought. Okay, I'm just joking. That's not what we're thinking. And then the sister's like, okay. But immediately thereafter, somebody knocked again. Oh, shit, we don't have anything to eat. Our family's big. Looked at the 4 chayotes, the big family, and said, looked at the sister again. And she was like, that feeling, please don't do this. And he gave it, the 4 of them. And then Chico said, don't worry. We'll have for us. We'll have what we need. Trust in God. Trust in God. Chico was not playing. He was teaching us a lesson of love. Well, the few hours went by and nobody knocked at the door, right? And the sister, by like 6 p.m., dinner time, she was like, see, I told you, Chico. This story about giving and getting back doesn't work. He went to the Spirit Center, came back. After he came back, believe it or not, out of the blue, a man knocked on their door. This is a real story. A friend of his sister, by the way, he had like a small farm. He knocked on the door late in the night and said, You know, I thought of you, said to her. Didn't say to she, I thought of you today because we got so much that I thought I should bring some to you because I owe you so much for so many things you did good to me. And she was like, uh-oh, big bag, big bag. She opened, yeah, like a ton. And then she opened the bag. What were they? Many chayotes. Many more than 8, 10, 12. And she was speechless. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, we learn that the love is all there is. We want to be happy. It's not about being loved. It's about loving. And if we give, we will receive. Let's meditate on this because today we have a lot to conquer here together, okay? So let's go inside, the teens and the kids with us. And Miss Daisy will be here leading us into a beautiful topic of how to conquer this mind in willpower. Let's go.
Okay, friends, so they have a journey over there. We have our journey here to learn together with Emmanuel. So I know last week we learned so much already. So we're going to continue studying. We're studying this book. There are a lot of information here that we'll share, but mainly from this book. If you open this book, so thin, right? This thing. Easy, right? Emmanuel tells us so much, right? No. So if we go to right at the introduction, he explained how this book came about. And it's important for us to read and to reflect. So he said, this is a compilation of a series of talks in the spirit realm for those who are preparing to reincarnate. They go through a course. So there's a big possibility. We already have gone through this course in the spiritual realm. But that's why we are always saying that's why we have the challenge, the book challenge through the summer, because we're always saying, let us read more, study more, because we need to remind ourselves. But he said in the book, in the introduction, that this course is given in the spiritual realm for those who are preparing to reincarnate, to prepare themselves. And we are so fortunate that we have the opportunity to read, study, and reflect here again. So if you go to the preface, it starts by talking about our minds, talking about our will that we're going to talk today, education, instruction, what is the importance in our lives? Faith, family, what is the role of family? It talks about vocation, it talks about our physical bodies, all the way. And he ends with love, as Vanessa just started, right? Everything. So, then 30 chapters. If you look at it, each chapter is, a little over page back and forth, but so deep. So before we start, let us reflect on this and let us see what science says. Before we go to the spiritist part of it, what science already shows about the power of our thoughts. How does that influence our lives? Why? Kardec told us that Spiritism and science go hand in hand. He even goes a step further and says, if, always trust science, and we see day after day how science comes and quote unquote proves what we already know from Spiritism. So that's why Spiritism, we say, yes, it's a reasoned faith, because we are able to understand, to reason it. It's not just, oh yes, the power of the will, but why? That's why we study, we understand the mechanism. So it's not blind. Oh, you have to believe because you have to believe, and that's it. And that's the beauty of Spiritism. So what science already tells us about the power of our thoughts? So here's a short clip, but let us understand science before we go to the teachings by Emmanuel.
For years, scientists believed that the brain was static, unchanging, and locked, but our understanding has changed drastically to the point where we now see the brain as plastic and constantly changing. But what if I told you that simply thinking could affect not only the way your brain works, but its physical shape and structure as well? It turns out this is exactly what happens. From a neuroscientific standpoint, imagining an action and doing it require the same motor and sensory programs in the brain. For example, if you were to close your eyes and imagine the letter B, the primary visual cortex lights up in the same way it does when you look at the letter on the screen. Take a moment and imagine yourself writing out your signature with your dominant hand. Chances are, the amount of time it takes you to simply imagine doing it is similar to how long it actually takes to write it out. Try doing the same thing with your non-dominant hand and it actually takes you longer to write and imagine. How is this relevant? Well, because imagination and action are actually integrated and engage the same neural pathways, practicing one actually influences the other. One fascinating study took two groups and had them practice piano for 2 hours a day, except one group was only allowed to use mental practice. They couldn't touch the piano, but would sit in front of it and imagine practicing. The surprising result? The exact same physical changes took place in the motor cortex of both groups. And after 3 days, their accuracy in playing was the exact same. Beyond 5 days, the physical practice group did begin to excel faster, but the imagination group, when given the chance to practice physically, was able to catch up to their skill level quickly. Perhaps more incredible is an experiment which used imagination in an effort to strengthen muscles. Both groups did the same figure muscle exercises for 4 weeks, though one group simply did it mentally. Those who actually did the physical exercise increased their strength by 30%, while those who imagined doing it increased their muscle strength by 22%. This is because the neurons responsible for the movement instruction were still being used and strengthened, resulting in increased strength when the muscles actually contracted. So, while your thoughts don't have some mystical or magical power, mental practice is an effective way to prepare for a physical skill. Each thought actually changes the structure and function of your brain by affecting the neurons at the microscopic level. Though, as much as we wish you could sit there and become the next Mozart, it won't happen without a lot of hard physical work. But a little imagination never hurts. This episode of ASAP Science is supported by Audible.com, the leading provider of audiobooks with over 100,000 downloads.
It's the power of thought. Yes. It's on YouTube. Yes. If you actually go to the comments, it links to the actual studies. So it's not just make up. They actually reference their resources. So, and this is just a few studies. There's so many more that talks about, do we see the importance of our thoughts in our actions? It's incredible, isn't it? Incredible. That's why we need to teach as parents, as educators, as uncles and aunts to our children that the importance of their thoughts. I know we already talk about this here, but there are many books. Learn Optimism by Martin Seligman. We have Louise Hay that we always mention here, and she talks about the importance of thinking positively, having affirmations. That's why every time you come in, we give you an affirmation. so that we can continue repeating ourselves. But how does this happen? So let us recap before we talk about our will and the power of will. Last week, Vanessa brought to us that our thought, as we think, we create. It's in our mind. So as we think, there's no such a thing as a draft. Oh, I'm going to draft something and throw it away, right? How many times we do it in our day-to-day activities and jobs, but in our thoughts, there's no such a thing as a draft. As we think, we create our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. So the question for us, and we are already given this exercise, but let us do it again. In our minds, let us write it down. What are our mind 3 most recurring thoughts throughout the day? If I am constantly thinking about money, paying the bills, how I'm going to make money, how I'm going to feed the family, how I'm going to pay for this, how I'm going to pay for that vacation. Do we think that when we discarnate, we're going to go to no solar, as they say, and go straight to no solar? Well, those images, those thoughts, they stay with us. As Emmanuel says, we live and breathe, immersed in these atmospheres of the images we project, like is in this picture. So if we're constantly thinking about money, imagine thought is something tangible. It stays there in our perispirit. What is the density? What is the texture when you think about it? Maybe we're constantly thinking about how I'm going to get the promotion at work. Not how I'm going to do a good job because I love what I do, but how I'm going to always be the best. And I'm not doing it because I truly care about my work and my coworkers. Because at the end of the day, as Vanessa was saying, we're selfish. We're thinking about ourselves. My promotion, my work, what my boss will say in my review. So we need to pay attention because we think we're checking all the boxes and we're doing so well, but we need to go deeper. But before even we get to our thoughts, we need to look around us. And the mentors were reminding us this week about the importance of thinking about not only, of course, about our thoughts, but thinking that everything that we own, we make a connection. So how are we gonna, we want to succeed, we want our lives to be better, but around ourselves, we have a clutter of things. We open our closets, we only have 2 feet, 2 arms, but then there is several shoes for us women, several bags, right? Several coats that we could go to the North Pole and come back, and there still be enough coats for us, not a few coats. Friends, we know we live in a society in the United States that is so easy, right? We turn around and there is a promotion. There is a sale. There is no excuse anymore. Summer sale, semi-annual sale, Memorial Day sale, July 4th sale. And then we're in constant this consumism that doesn't stop. And then we drive, and there are storage units everywhere you go because people don't have places in their homes to keep things anymore. So then they keep things in a storage unit. Oh, Daisy, but one day I'm going to need it. I might need it. Okay, let us think, friends. It's been a year. Have you really used that jacket, that shoe, that furniture piece? If we haven't used in a year, what are the chances? So we create, and this is for our own good. Why? We create these links to our material things. And then we wanted to have beautiful thoughts, but our lives are literally cluttered around us. So there's no way we can work in our thoughts and our will if we don't get rid of ourselves and our lighter physically. I was talking with a woman this week, and her daughter's already married, 30s, 40s, and she has the teddy bears that they had when they were children. Not one or two, but dozens of them. Oh, but and they don't even live close to the parents anymore. And how many children would love to have one doll, one teddy bear? But then our children have literally playrooms, right? That's what we call nowadays, with dozens of toys and games. Some, if we're lucky, they play once. And then we don't need to go far. We go here. There's the Reston Town Center, for those who know. High-end stores, beautiful restaurants, wonderful. You turn the corner, literally, you turn the corner, it's the next street. There's a shelter, the Amber Group shelter, that where we're doing the campaign here for the cleaning supplies. And you enter, there are family stores staying there. Single moms with 2, 3 children or more. The other day we went there to deliver something, and the woman at the front desk was holding a baby. There were a few weeks or days old, because the mother needed to take a shower and didn't have anyone to hold her baby as she did it. So we don't need to go far away to find those that we need. Why are we holding to so many things? People have garages, and the garage is supposed to fit the car, right? But they don't park the car in the garage because the garage is full. And you open the garage doors, and right, there are shows nowadays. People go into other people's storage unit, garages. And then we die. And we think we're going to go to nosso lar? How, if we're stuck here with all the things that we don't need? Why are there those literally around the corner? So before we actually clear our minds and think about our thoughts, let us declutter our lives. And think about those who have nothing. We can choose 10 different coats, while there are people on the street that don't have one. And then we want to go to sleep at night and sleep well. And then we cannot fall asleep, and we don't know why. And then we go to the doctors, and unfortunately, it's so sad. Because you go to, sometimes it's not even a specialty doctor, a psychologist. It's another doctor, and you're like, oh, I'm having anxiety. And oh yeah, let me prescribe you something. Did they ask you, how is your life? Do they know what's happening? No. But it's so easy. You get these prescriptions, and then what? We're just literally doping ourselves because we're having this medicine so that we can go to sleep, and then we wake up, we don't feel good with ourselves, and then we want our lives to change. But today, we are empowering ourselves. That's why it's about the work. To literally change our lives. We can do it. Sometimes things like personal hygiene. We go to people's homes and they have loads and loads of laundry. When the clothes that we wear, they keep our energy. That's why you wear once. Go and wash it because you are carrying that energy with you. So do the laundry every week. You know, it's hard, but oh my gosh, it's hard and not hard, right, friends? Let us think about it. We watch the shows and then we see the women taking the clothes there. At that time, that was hard to do laundry, right? Wash in the river by hand, put it to dry, ironing out later on, right? But nowadays, all we need to do is put in the machine, press one button, and half an hour, put it to the dryer, and that's it. In 1 hour, it's not only clean, it's dry, warm, right? Smells so good, right? When you like take it out, oh, it's so good. Isn't it good, like when you change the sheets of the bed and you go to sleep and you're like, oh, it smells so good. But then we go 2, 3, 4 weeks without changing our sheets, and our beds are so sacred because that's where our physical body rests, and our perispirit is able to more freely detach. So as a portal, our beds are sacred. So the importance of keeping our bedroom clean, our sheets clean, because then we can think all we want, but our lives are not gonna change because we're literally stuck. So let us reflect on this. It's summer, beautiful time. Let's use this time to get rid. If we have a news in a mirror, let us pass to someone who is going to need those things so that we can live better. Why? Because if not, all that will be in our mental field. And then we have illnesses, disease, not only physically, emotionally, psychological, and we cannot move forward. Emmanuel says that thought is electromagnetic force. So as we emit, we attract. And we talked last week, Vanessa shared with us, we want to be healthy, but we go through our days thinking about dying. If I eat this, I'm going to die. If I do this, I'm going to die. So then we are attracting that. We're not attracting health. Science, as we saw, have already proven to us that as we think, we affect not only us physically, emotionally, and then we know through spiritism spiritually. Leon Denis, in the book After Death, he tells us that our thoughts and our will is so powerful that the day we truly become more enlightened and we know more, we can literally, as Ms. Hayes already says, cure ourselves. Because our thoughts, they affect us in an electromagnetic, at the cellular level or even smaller. And we can go there and change the pathway. Why? Because as we think, it changes the fluids around us. Yes.
Always been interesting to me how powerful our negative thoughts are. Positive thoughts are just as powerful. But brought up this negative so hard.
So, you know, John, as you say, that reminds me about an experiment. And it's true, it's proven. You can Google it. You get 2 cups of water, and every day you say to one cup, you are beautiful, you are light, and to the other cup you say, you are ugly, I don't like you, I hate you, you don't serve for nothing. And you can see that the color of the water, the texture starts to change. Just by our words. So what are we telling our children? Are we saying, you're nothing, you cannot do this? How come? You broke that vase. Oh, you're so clumsy. You're never going to be able to do anything right. How many parents and educators and grandparents say that to their children? And then they grow up and we live in our society. How many people taking medication because of anxiety, panic attacks, because they cannot fall asleep? How many? Why? Are we helping? As Vanessa said, are we loving the people around us? Because if that's what we're saying, we're not only hurting ourselves, because at first that stays with us, but then it stays in our children, our grandchildren, our friends. If we love, we say, you can do it. We'll find a way. Oh, but I made this mistake, Mommy. We all make mistakes. What can we do better next time? I know you didn't mean to break that or to do that. Let us learn together. So Emmanuel continues and he says, he's simplifying for us, friends. We need it simplified because if he told us the whole 9 yards would be too complicated. He says that our minds, our human mind, right at our level, is the mirror of our life. That's why we keep saying, what are we thinking? But let us understand, he breaks it down for us. He says that our minds have several departments. Yes, there is a department of desire. Not only the desire for chocolate. Not just talk about other things, but why? There is a department of desire, aspirations. Why? We need a department of desire in our minds to stimulate us to do things. For those, like when you love your job, you desire to be there. You want to do your best. That's why they say if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And it's true. So we need a department of desire to push us to do things. Yeah, there are things that we don't like. Let us talk about washing the dishes. Because similar to what we're saying about our belongings, we want our lives to be better, but then we're there washing the dishes. And we're like, wow, I hate this so much. How come? They ate and they didn't put the cup away, and I'm here, it's midnight, I want to sleep, and I'm washing the dishes. And then we're doing something and cursing at the same time. Our own activity. How do we think that will lead us? Good things? No. And then we are enveloped in that energy. Yeah. People didn't put the dishes away, it's on them. But it's on me. How are we going to read the situations in our lives? So we love the dishes with joy. We say, well, thank God. We have a plate, we have a cup, we have a family to make the dishes dirty. We have running water. Look at those in Africa. They literally don't have running water. We can take 1, 2, 3, 4 showers a day. Some people don't take none. But we go there, we turn on the faucet, and there is warm water. There's people that literally they have to walk more than a mile each day to catch fresh water, come back, so that they can cook, clean, do everything that they need. So let us be thankful. That's why we're so egotistic, because we're always thinking about ourselves and we don't realize the opportunities that we have. So yes, that's why there's a department of desire, to stimulate us to move forward. There is a department of intelligence. Why? Because that's where we expand our evolutionary and cultural assets. And that's why there's a whole chapter in this book talking about instruction. The importance of learning something new every day. Every day. That's the only way that you succeed. Every day, tell yourself, today I'm going to learn something new. So easy. You can open the dictionary. You can learn one new word a day. You can open the internet and read an article. As we learned today, there's so many studies. You can, get to know about a new study. Sometimes talking with our children. That's the problem. We don't talk with people around us, our partners, our children. Because if they're talking, they're talking about their day, and we're like, oh, I'm so tired. I want to go and take a shower, and they're here talking. But if we pay attention, they might be saying, look, today I learned, maybe there's a new software out there. There's always a new program. But we miss. The children come from school, they get in the car, and we're too busy running around. But if we ask them, what did you learn? And, children are so funny, right? You ask them, what did you learn? I didn't learn anything today. That's the first thing they say, right? But then you will start, but tell me, how about in your math class? Oh, yeah, we did an exercise. Oh, so we did learn something today. Oh, how about your social studies class? Oh, yeah, you're learning about the American Revolution. Tell me about it. I don't know. And just in talking with them, we learn something new. But most often than not, people are talking and we're not even listening, because in our minds, in our thoughts, we're thinking about the to-do list. We're thinking about the bills to pay. Or most of the times we're already thinking what we're going to reply. So we're not really listening, right? It's entering here, not even entering, right? Because we blocked ourselves. The next one is the Department of Imagination. Yes. We need a Department of Imagination to have ideas, new ideas, things that are going to touch our sensitivity. So yes, imagination is great. We're not going to live in the la la land, but we need a Department of Imagination in our lives. And we also have a Department of Memory. That's where we store all the archives. Yes, we're talking about the human mind, so the memories of this life, but we know in our pure spiritual, quote-unquote, brain, we have all our previous lives stored there. But where does the will come into this? And he says there are many other departments, right? We know he's simplifying for us because just this is already a lot of information. But then he says, overseeing everything. It's not a department, it's a cabinet. There's the cabinet of the will. This cabinet, ooh, no, we're not there yet. This cabinet is this enlightenment and vigilant manager is a manager, supervises all sectors of mental activities. So people say, I cannot forgive. Yes, you can forgive. If you have the will, you can forgive. Oh, I cannot forget that person did this to me. Well, now we know that the cabinet of the will supervises memory. So we can go there as the mentors teach us and Vanessa's, we can go there and re-edit scenes in our lives. Because something happens and we keep going back. We go back. And it happened once. But in our minds, it happens like trillions of times because we keep repeating that scene in our minds every time we think about that person. So we know with the will, we can go there and re-edit. How? Oh, but this person did this to me. They slapped me in the face. Okay. This is how we see it through our lens. There's a tons of different cameras. They have their camera. They have their obsessors' cameras. They have God's cameras. There are so many ways. If they hurt us, it's because they're not doing well. So we can go there and re-edit things with our will. But the question, friends, is how, let us ask ourselves, how is our will? Why? Because we grew up and we go back to our childhood. There are parents who repress the will of their children. As we're saying, they say, no, you cannot do anything. Oh, yes, you did this drawing? You're never going to be an artist. And then they grew up frustrated, thinking, I will never achieve anything. I cannot do anything. Why? Their will is repressed. So, we need to investigate. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, the permissive parents. Oh, you want a chocolate? Here's the chocolate. Oh, you go to the mall? Oh yeah, you want that toy? Oh yeah. Oh no, but if I don't give it to them, they're gonna cry, they're gonna make a scene. As a spiritist scholar this week said, it's better to frustrate our child in childhood. Yes. Frustrate them when they're young, before they turn into these adults nowadays that we see, that they don't stay in one job for long because they cannot follow the rules. They get in and they want it to be in their way. And then they're jumping from job to job because they cannot stay put. Because they think they can do whatever they like. We see in the Spirit Center, people enter and they don't think about who cleans this room, who takes care of the children's activities, who plans everything weeks, days ahead of time. But then people enter and they think they have a better plan. They can come in and out and do whatever they like. Well, there's an order for everything in the Spirit Center as well as is in our jobs. We're not going to get in our jobs and go to the CEO and think, oh, you know what? I have this brilliant idea. Well, good, but you're not going to think that you know best. So we need to think about how is our will and how are we helping our children with their will. Not to be the permissive that thinking they can do whatever they like. That's why we tell the parents, it's good that they are here with us in the room, that they learn to stay quiet. Because if they don't stay quiet now, how are they going to stay quiet later on when they are 13, 14? And then they don't want to come to the center. But then we are not repressing our children's will so that they grew up with their self-esteem so low. And then they get into toxic relationships because they don't know how to stand up for themselves. Emmanuel says that the will is the decisive factor. The will is the power push button that decides upon the movement and inertia of the machine. He's saying, The will has the power over our movement or inertia. So friends, if we get home from work, we're like, oh, I had such a horrible day. I want to rest. I deserve it. How many people, they get from work, they sit in their favorite chair in the living room, and they stay there until they go to sleep. Sometimes they sleep in the same chair. And then we want our lives to change, but we are in this inertia. So Emmanuel is reminding us today, let us empower our will to get out of this inertia. Let us go and learn something new. Someone told us the other day that to refresh ourselves, we need to change what we're doing. Yeah, sometimes we need to give our physical body the rest it needs. But why? Doing it intelligently. Not just laying there on the couch for hours. We do the virtual classes. Science proves taking a short nap is good, but we're not there the whole day. We push ourselves to learn something new, as we're saying. There's so much to learn. Imagine, friends, today we can walk in here, go to the library, to the bookstore, choose whatever book we want. There are those that are here in the spiritual realm, they don't have access to these books. So when we discarnate, we want to learn, we're not going to be able to learn. We're not going to be able to pick up any book out of the shelf. Nowadays, we have our phones and we Google anything. How to change the faucet that broke in our sink in the bathroom. There are videos. Amazing. Incredible. How to do it yourself, right? They say. You can renovate the whole home. You can learn how to garden on YouTube. How to do your hair. But again, how are we using it? Are we thinking only about ourselves? Or as Vanessa was saying, Chico is the example. He used his will to help others. Emmanuel said, Chico, you're going to write 30 books. 30. Okay. 30 books. He wrote the 30 books and he's like, okay, like a good student, what is next? And he said, well, if you want, we can do 30 more. Okay, great, let's do it. And he discarnated, he has more than 500 books that he psychographed, plus all the letters, all the message. So, yes, the power of the will. But imagine if Chico thought to himself, who am I? I never went to, past elementary school. I live in a city that, Pedro Leopoldo at that time, imagine, friends, like a village. It's like, I'm nobody, right? How many people say, I'm nobody, I'm not going to do anything. And he not only changed the world, it's changing our lives now as we speak, because we are able to study these books because of him. Because he decided to use his reincarnation to not be in the inertia, to do the movement. Not for himself, as we heard in the story. He was always thinking, how can I help others? We have a talent. Maybe we're really good at something. Maybe we know how to play the piano beautifully. But we keep it to ourselves. What is the good of it if we don't share? Maybe we know how to create, I don't know, nowadays there are softwares who can create videos, beautiful images, but we're not using it to help. Sometimes the Spirit Center with our talents. So let us use our will, but get out of our selfishness as we're all learning together. Emmanuel says only the will is sufficiently strong to sustain the harmony of the spirit. We want to feel like this image, right? We want to feel harmonious, light. But then we are constantly in these thoughts that what happens? Create diseases for ourselves. Leon Denis says in the book after that, as we emanate, as we think, as we said, we create these images and they start getting our spiritual body denser and denser and denser until those illnesses manifest in our actual physical bodies. So we are making ourselves sick with our thoughts. That's why, listen to Louis Hay's affirmations. Let us meditate and let us empower ourselves. The will can impose the disciplinary control over the elements it governs, has to maintain them cohesive in the service of goodness. Okay, the will can impose the disciplinary control. Friends, let us think about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, right? Beautiful lights, we're here. He created the lamp. How many times? You guys know? How many times it took him? 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Thank you, Thomas Edison, whenever you are. Can we imagine if it was we, would we try 1,000 times? We don't try it twice. We fail it once and we give up. And then the good spirit is saying, come on, you can do it. Go. But we give up. In the first, Thomas Edison, to develop the lamp, that if you look at, nowadays we have different types of lamps, but the old ones with the little thing, took him 1,000 times, trial and error. And he was so positive, he said, it didn't took me 1,000 times, it took me 1,000 steps to get it, to make it right. So yes, I can and I will. Tell ourselves, I can and I will. I want to change my diet. And then the diet lasts not even a day. Starts on a Monday, ends on a Monday. But let us tell ourselves, I can, I will. We have the power. We don't need anything externally. That's the beauty of it, friends. Spiritism comes and says, you have within you the power to change. But then psychology explains to us. If people say, I can't, deep down, it means that they don't want to do it. So let us pay attention. If people say, I can, or when we say, oh, I cannot do that. How many people say, oh, in this life, I'm never going to learn how to cook, for example. I'm never going to learn how to cook in this life. Yes. Well, it's because you can't or you don't want to. Because you can. Maybe you don't want to, but then from now until eternity, we're going to have to learn everything. So when our children comes to us, I hate math, I don't know why we need to learn, calculus at school, and we say, well, from now until eternity, to become a pure spirit like Jesus, we're going to have to learn. So we better learn now while we're here, because next reincarnation, we don't know. So yes, you can do it. It took Thomas Edison 1,000 times. Let us take 1,000 times. Effort and repetition. That's what the Spirit tells us in the books. Effort and repetition. Let's not give up. That's why, friends, we stay stuck in life. We can do it. So the will has this disciplinary control. It only depends on us, but we need to boost it. Remember, we talk about childhood. If we feel our ego is repressed, let us look for help to power ourselves. Yes, let's go to therapy and say, I need help to empower myself. Let us hear the affirmations every day. But not to fulfill our selfish needs, to empower us so we change ourselves and we change others. On Friday, we were here and we were talking about looking through our tendencies, the struggles in our lives, examining ourselves. Why? Let's say we need to work in our patience. Now we know, okay, with my will, I can work in my patience. Because if I become patient, I'm going to show those in my life that they can also become patient themselves. So we are this light to others. But the best help of all, who can we ask for help to boost our will? Yes, we can ask for physical help here, therapists, psychologists, but this is the best, the most powerful friend, psychologist, therapist, Jesus. He said, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you find. Knock and the door will open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the ones who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be open to you. But Jesus was saying, stay home and pray and stay in that inertia that we talk about. He's saying, no, we ask. Yes, ask. You need to work in our patience. Let us ask. Our guardian angels, you know I need to work on this. Help me. And during the time of sleep, they can take us to the spiritual realm to take courses, to sit in sessions. So we can ask for the good things. Remember, if we're there asking, please God, I want to win the lottery. Why? Is it truly because you want to build that school or because you just want to take that money and travel around the world? So what are we asking God for? Well, he said, ask. But don't just ask, seek. Go after it. Don't stay there. You guys all know this story, right? The guy who was in like a flooding event. He was at his house and he was praying, God, please help me. And then comes the guy with the boat and he's like, no. He was, what I was saying. There comes the guy with the helicopter. And at the end of the day, he died and says, God, you never help me. He's like, I send you so many helpers. I send you a boat. I send you a helicopter. So let us not only stay there and ask, seek, look for the signs and knock. But the question is, what are we asking for? Because then things comes and our life changes. But who brought it to ourselves? We did. Through our thoughts, starting with our thoughts. So friends, let us keep this image in our minds. Empowering ourselves, we can do it. But remember, Jesus said, there's no salvation without charity. So let us use our will like Chico Xavier has started today. thinking how we're going to empower ourselves to change, be better, and to help, starting by love, those who are the closest to us. So with that, let us keep this image in our mind. Let us keep reflecting in this. It's in Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 8. Let us keep reflecting on this as we prepare for the Pass. Okay?
Let us visualize the loving presence of Master Jesus amongst us. He who invited us to the effort of seeking the good, feeling the good, Visualizing the good and molding the good with all the resources we have at hand. Let us feel His illuminated heart emanating to us light, healing, harmony. Let us help one another by feeling the presence of the spirit doctors who are applying the energy medicine onto us. And feeling the presence of the spirit doctors, we see them approaching us with a bouquet of healing flowers, which brings to us the healing light, the healing perfume. Let us allow these flowers to treat us in their healing elements. Now, the spirit doctors are kindly asking us to take one of the flowers they've given us and offer to someone incarnate or discarnate whom we feel is in need of healing. Let us dedicate this flower to them in love, the love that God grants us as well. Now we visualize a waterfall of healing light that falls upon each one of us, cleansing our minds and bodies, replenishing them with healthy thoughts, feelings, molecules. we visualize Jesus is our best friend, He asked us to think of what we need and say, ask for it, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Let us feel the loving kindness of Master Jesus, our best friend, enveloping us in protection and much, much strength. We visualize our best friend Jesus in front of us. He who loves us unconditionally, here with us, embracing us in His strength and showering us with His healing love. We raise our thoughts to God in deep gratitude for the beauty of life, the beauty of learning every day, of opening ourselves to the new, of being kind and firm, of being together. Thank you, God, for the gift of existing, for the gift of immortality, for knowing that life never ends, and for knowing that when we love, we're stronger, more connected with you. May we boost our willpower and seek the good all the time. We visualize our homes at this moment being visited by your messengers, doctors, nurses, and therapists, who mercifully enter our homes to cleanse the environment and also rescue those who are in need of help. We visualize our cities, our states, our nation, the world, enveloped in your abundant, joyful love. As we today vow, promise to ourselves that we will fulfill your loving will forever. And so